happy Sunday to everybody. I hope you guys have been enjoying your day. Thanks for tuning in to our, hour-long show, guys. We've got a packed social. Let's get to it. Again, this would not be an episode of War Week Radio on Sunday night without the counsel of our very good friend, expert strategist, and 3-decade fight trainer, the one and only Mr. James Gogue. James, how the heck are you this evening, sir?
Joe, I'm doing fine. We finally had a solid night of boxing since this COVID, hit us. There were some real good fights last night. Man, a couple of duds, but that's expected. And, it was just that break, Joe. Next time they do a pay-per-view, format like this, that break, oh, my God. What time did the fights get over? Like at 1 o'clock? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, actually, Gogue, because of my age and because of all the work that I had done on Fight Saga as well as on the show, I fell asleep, actually, during the intermission and didn't wake up until Luis Neri was already fighting.
You should have went back to sleep. Because that fight was nothing.
Well, I tell you what, let's look at the main event of the evening. First, once again, we're going to, guys, let me just give you a brief syllabus of what we're going to go over in the show, right? We're going to go over the entire 6-fight bout sheet on the Showtime pay-per-view event last night. We're also going to go over, we're going to go over the Canelo situation, and we're going to discuss what's next for all of the major fighters that competed last night. We're also going to discuss the recent developments in the DAZN Canelo Alvarez debacle, and then we're also going to talk about Aram's latest rant regarding the mandatory challengers of these sanctioning organizations. Boy, that's going to be a fun one. I really can't wait to hear what you have to say about that, Gogue. And then finally, guys, we're going to discuss Manny Pacquiao versus Conor McGregor, and we're gonna ask Gogue why the odds are starting out so competitive. And then also, guys, to the final minute of the program, we're not going to devote a lot of time on it. The final minute, we're going to ask Gogue, is this finally the end of Julio Cesar Chavez Mijo Jr.?
Yeah.
But to start things off, guys, let's, speaking of going to sleep, let's look at someone who went to sleep in the main event. Jason Rosario, after putting forth a valiant effort, was stopped via KO in round number 8 from an unexpected jab to the midsection for Jermell Charlo, and Jermell Charlo with the victory becomes the WBC, WBA, and IBF junior middleweight champion of the world. First of all, Gogue, let's just address the elephant in the room. I've seen a lot of fan reception saying that this was fixed. He took a dive. Gogue, what are your thoughts on the, quick knockout in the 8th round?
Man, when I started seeing all these, especially on Twitter, because I'm on Twitter a lot. Fans talking about it was the guy took a dive. I started cracking up. I said, why don't they get in the ring and spar and get hit with a good body shot like that? Then they would feel like Rosario, okay, how he felt now, okay? When you get hit with a body shot, okay, Joe, it's paralyzing, okay? It just takes all the wind out of you. It's like you're driving on the road 50 miles an hour, all of a sudden you get a flat tire, okay? That's how it feels when you get hit with a body shot. It's the most painful shot in the world when you're in that square circle, okay? You can get hit with headshots and all that other stuff, but when you get hit with a body shot, it makes the toughest guys out there crumble, okay? Golovkin, when he got hit with a body shot by Derevyanchenko when they fought, nobody ever hurt Golovkin with headshots. He used to laugh when you hit him with big punches to the head. Didn't even budge him. But when he got hit with that body shot, oh my God, that was the first time I seen him ever get hurt. So that jab to the body is, to the solar plex, it's just he probably was, Charlo just threw a beautiful, touched him upstairs with a jab, then he followed it with a nice hard jab to the body, a.k.a. Floyd Money Mayweather, okay? Floyd Mayweather, he does that shot beautifully, up and down, down and up, okay? The reason why, Floyd mixes his jab up real good, he was taught well by his daddy, okay? You never want to just jab to the head. You always want to jab to, up and down. Keep your opponent confused and guessing what you're going to do. And when you throw that jab to the body, you hit a guy right. When he's breathing in and you hit him right, that's what's going to happen. His air is trapped in his lungs, and you go to it just takes your legs away. You go down to the ground, and you know what I mean. You can't breathe. You get that panicky feeling, like scary, Joe. It's like somebody's choking the shit out of you. You know what I mean? You can't breathe. And
wow.
It's a panicking situation by the fighter. Like yesterday, what's his name, Rosario, when he got hit, you seen him kind of like convulsing. Yeah, I know how he felt. When I was fighting amateurs, I got hit with a body shot one time, and I went down, and boom, man, it was even a hard shot. He just caught me right when I was breathing in, and he caught me with a body shot. It just went down, and it took me maybe 15, 20, 30 seconds to get my wind back, but I couldn't, what do you call it, Joe? I couldn't breathe. And it happened to me before when I was working the hand pads with a guy, Jermall Charlo, who was a former WBC champion. Instead of hitting me with hit my pads, he hit me with a left hook to the liver, and I went down, man. I couldn't breathe. So I know, Joe. I know the paralyzing effects of body shots. Just being in the sport a long time, and when I seen guys hit to the body, they lay down like a little bitch.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, guys, just in case anyone was interested, Jason Rosario's okay. It's amazing, boy. Boxing fans are brutal.
Yeah, Joe, he's all right. Everybody, is he all right? Is he all right? Like he was getting brain surgery, okay? He just got the wind knocked out of him, okay? It happens.
Yeah, this isn't Magomed Abdusalamov, right? Or Adonis Stevenson.
Exactly. Yeah. Headshots can't recover. Body shots, you'll eventually recover, but they're brutal, okay? He just needed just to relax and let his body function normal, let him get breathing good and everything. But he's all right, yeah. He didn't, you know what I mean? It's just, he got hit with a damn good shot to that midsection. What a beautiful textbook combination, the jab to the head, the jab to the body. I love the jab. Joe, the jab, like I tell you guys every week, the jab is the number one weapon in boxing if you know how to use it correctly. Then if you know how to use it up and down and up, to the head, to the body, poof, yeah, you're gonna have a guy that's gonna be hesitant to come in, Joe. A good pressure fighter, he's gonna be, very tentative to come in, man, because you don't want to get hit by that jab. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about Jermall. That was beautiful. It's like the late Lou Duva would say, "You're boxing beautiful, baby. You're boxing beautiful." You know what I mean? He would have told Jermall Charlo that last night.
Well, what's amazing is at the time of the stoppage, Steve Weisfeld actually had it a very, very close fight. He even with the two knockdowns, he scored the fight. He had the round scored 4 rounds to 3 going into the 8th, with a grand total of 66 to 65 in favor of Charlo. Glenn Feldman and John McKay scored the fight identically, 67-64, with 3 rounds apiece. Or I'm sorry, 4-3 Charlo going into the 8th. Gogue, how did you see it playing out? Were you a bit surprised that it was this competitive, and Rosario seemed to be coming on late?
You know what, Joe? I knew it would be a good fight because I know just watching Rosario when he fought Julian Williams, I'm like, okay, he's got his work cut out for him and everything, okay? This guy is physically strong. He's physically tough. And you can see, Joe, he don't have all the greatest skills in the world, but just his physical size and his strength and his combination punching is going to, give you problems and everything. So I wasn't surprised at all. And you know what? This guy was starting to come on. The momentum of the fight, the tide started changing. Okay, Joe, would you agree?
Absolutely.
Then, before, like you said, he got hit with that body shot and everything. But, fans out there, he didn't take no dive. From experience, when I seen that, once he got hit with that shot, then the way he was acting on the ground, moving around, squirming like a little bitch, I knew right then and there he got hit with a good body shot.
Oh, my word, Gogue. Yeah, so, guys, it was temporary debilitating, but not career-threatening, guys, so don't worry about that. Guys, it's, Gogue, these fans, they're a little harsh, man. Why do you think, for some reason, fight fans always tend to lean towards corruption and coercion rather than trying to make sense of it rationally?
Why? Well, they probably watch Chavez Jr. a lot.
Touche, brother. Yeah, guys, we're going to save that one to the very final segment of the evening. But, I thought it was very entertaining. What did you like about what Rosario was doing, and what made him so effective against Charlo? Throughout pretty much the great majority of the contest.
Charlo couldn't handle that pressure. You could see Charlo was very uncomfortable when he's putting that physical pressure on him, putting them combinations. Did you see it, Joe? You could see he was kind of like got him out of his rhythm, his comfort level. Charlo, when he fought Harrison, he pressed the action on Harrison, okay? But Harrison ain't like this guy, strong, physical, hard-hitting, okay? Pressure fighter, okay? Harrison's more like, Joe? Even though that second fight was great, he's more like a, stylistic, outside, range, distance control, working off that jab, sharp counters, quick counters. Ooh, Harrison throws some very sharp, quick counters, especially with that right hand. Ooh. But this fight, Joe, the hardest fighter in boxing, Larry Merchant once said on HBO, is a pressure fighter with a good chin that just keeps coming at you. Pressure breaks pipes. And you can see, I don't know what your opinion is, Joe. My opinion was, seeing so many damn fights, when a guy fights a pressure fighter, sometimes, his comfort level is not there because, me personally, Joe, he don't know how to fight a guy in the pocket to neutralize that pressure. That's the main thing, when you're fighting a guy that's, that could put that pressure on you. If you don't know how to fight in the trenches and neutralize his forward-coming pressure, he's going to keep coming, and he's going to make you feel uncomfortable. Pressure breaks pipes, and that's something I didn't see, Jermell. He just didn't, he didn't display those skill sets I see in a fighter to neutralize that forward pressure. What's your opinion, Joe?
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And that's actually quite surprising because you would think, at least that conventional wisdom was, he'll probably be maybe preparing with Errol Spence Jr., but no, just found out that Errol Spence this entire time has just been getting in shape. He hasn't even sparred yet since the accident, Gogue. So, it was actually quite surprising. With under the tutelage of Derek James, you would have thought that he would have been prepared to deal with that. But it's one thing to deal with it in the gym with the big 16-ounce gloves on and the headgear and in the comfort of your own dojo, so to speak, right? But it's another thing entirely to deal with it in the ring with the 10-ounce gloves. And no headgear. And under the scrutiny of the judges at ringside. Yeah, it's so talk about that, Gogue. How difficult is that when you have someone just constantly leaning on you all night long, basically shadowing you, waiting for you to screw up?
Joe, like I said, if you don't have the skill sets physically and the mental composure and poise to deal with that, to deal with that tsunami coming at you, it can make you feel very uncomfortable real fast. Break your pikes real fast. That's why I said, Joe, you got to learn how to fight inside and outside, because when it comes where the fight transfers from the outside to in the pocket, you just can't hold and grab, okay, like you see nowadays. You got to transfer, you got to, adapt and transfer your skill sets to the inside game, okay, which is, we talked about last week, good fundamental stand, setting your feet good, setting the back leg real good, and work inside with short, sharp, crisp combinations and everything, okay? Not too many people could do that, Joe. Fight in the pocket nowadays. I mean, I could count on my one hand. But like I said, just that's one thing I don't like about boxing these days. Just 99, 95, 98% of the fighters, they just fight from range. But when the fight transfers to the pocket, what do? Smother you, tie you up, and look at the ref to break you. I said, just watch the fight. That's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of them just don't know how to get in there, and when the fight gets in close quarters and bang, proficiently, with good technical skills, Joe. And that's what I saw last night in Charlo. You know what I mean? That guy was putting that pressure in there. You could see Charlo, boy, he couldn't get in rhythm. You know what I mean, Joe? His comfort level wasn't good. And then, you know what I mean? And, I'll tell you what, if he didn't hit him with that hard shot, Joe, going down the back half of the fight, he would have gave Charlo problems.
Indeed. Well, guys, and your result from a wicked, straight left hand to the body is Jermell Charlo becomes the unified junior middleweight champion, picks up, he retains his WBC title and then picks up the WBA as well as the IBF with an 8th-round knockout over Rosario. So what's next for Jermell? Because, it looks like if he moves up to 160, right, then he runs into the same problem that Jermall's about to run into, and we're going to talk about him next, is that Haymon doesn't have hardly any of the talent at 60. Who's he going to fight? Basically, Haymon has a monopoly on pretty much the great majority of the talent at 47 and 54. For those reasons, he wanted to monopolize what he thought of were the most glamorous of the divisions and talent-enriched divisions in boxing. Well, now, it's 5 years later. Well, it looks like some of his best fighters are in 60 and 68, and they don't have anyone really to fight. So where do you go from here if you're Jermell Charlo?
That's a good question. And he wants all his fights on pay-per-view. But, Joe, in order to be a pay-per-view star, you got to have a dance partner, okay? First of all, you got to be a name, okay? You got to be a pretty damn big name to be a pay-per-view fighter, okay? Next thing you got to do is you got to have a good dance partner. And, what else? Dance partners are out there in the 154-pound division. He fought them all, beat them all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can name them, Joe. I can't think of anybody else that would demand pay-per-view.
Jared Hurd recently moved up to 160. He hasn't fought there yet, but according to his team, their next fight's going to be at 160. He's outgrown the division. To be honest with you, I don't see how he was able to make weight in the first place. But then you've got old man Lara. Does anyone really want to see Jermell Charlo versus Erislandy Lara, two former pupils of Ronnie Shields?
Oh, God. Jeez. If they put that on pay-per-view, oh, my God. Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe,
and then you've got
he wants to be a pay-per-view star, but let's see what his numbers are. Okay, let's see what him and the numbers are for this fight. How many pay-per-view sales they did, okay? But I just can't see,
look,
like I said, Joe.
Let me ask you something, Gogue. If you had to make a projection, how many, among diehards, this pay-per-view seemed to be a big hit. But how many you think streamed it illegally and how many you think purchased it last night? If you had to project a number, what would you say that was?
Only thing that counts is who bought it. You know, illegally, there are probably a lot. Who bought it? I don't know, Joe. I guess I'm no pay-per-view expert, but just going by all the other pay-per-views that how they perform with fighters with no names, guys like Crawford. What do you do? What, 83,000 with Postal?
Yeah. Well, when you consider Gogue, now keep in mind this was a much better card with much better dance partners, right? But when you consider that Jermall's last event on Showtime, on regular subscriber Showtime against Dennis Hogan, peaked at only 275,000 viewers.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those actually chose to purchase this event. If they're not even going to tune in on a regular subscriber. Now, keep in mind, this is a much bigger fight, right? Much better event. But still, how many of those people do you think, how many people actually chose to spend $75?
Not in these times. I can't see it. Honestly, Joe, if it does over 100,000, I'll be shocked. I think anywhere from 60 to 80, 85, around there. Yeah.
Okay, now let me ask you this. What are the chances of Steven Espinoza and Al Heyman actually disclosing the accurate number count?
Like Chavez Jr. getting a shot at Charlo next?
Guys, we're going to discuss that in just a bit. But, guys, let's move on. Congratulations, though, to Jermell Charlo for becoming the unified champion at 154 pounds and also earning the lineal ring championship. We're also going to discuss this, too, because Gogue, I think promoters, fighters, and networks are going to start leaning a little bit more heavily on the ring as well as the transnational boxing rankings. And, yeah, we're going to go into that in a little bit later. But, guys, let's focus on your, first main event of the evening. And, once again, this was, Gogue, I wasn't too fond of the two-fight card system here. Because, once again, in my opinion, the best fight of the evening and the most anticipated matchup of the evening, it came on way too early. I mean, it was still daylight from where I'm. And then you had that dreadful hour, like it seemed like an eternity before the next fight card came back on. So your thoughts on, do you think that affected the pay-per-view sales, having the best fight of the evening on so early?
I have no idea, Joe. Honestly, I don't understand the rationale, the way they had this set up. You know, something new, something different, so they changed it up to see how it would work and everything. But that intermission, that's the worst thing you could do. Don Chargan used to tell me that all the time, James. He goes, James, man, let the fights, one fight's done, get the next fight, get the next fight, get the next fight. He goes, the worst thing you could do is have your fans or your audience wait an hour for the next fight. He goes, that's the worst thing you could do.
Yep. Yeah, that's miserable. I tell you what, that's one thing that Dana White doesn't allow. I mean, if you look at the pacing of a UFC event, he's got that bout sheet filled, and it's one right after the other. They do a quick interview, at the very end of the fight, and then they start the introductions for the next one. And that's something
What were they thinking,
ahead,
Joe? I mean, what were they thinking? I mean, the Charlo fight, Jermell, his fight didn't go on. It didn't end till 5 minutes to 1? Oh, God. What were they thinking?
To be honest with you, I'll tell you what I think they were thinking. I think they were afraid they were actually going to lose a lot of West Coast potential purchasers to the Lakers game. That's what I think.
You think the boxing fans are going to – you think them basketball Laker fans, are going to pay $75 to watch this at that late at night? Oh, come on.
Well, either that or they were pulling into zone and waiting until the UFC event was over.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have switched over to UFC. I mean, they got a lot more press, Joe. Going into this fight, who was getting more press? Who was trending on Twitter? Who was trending on Twitter more? UFC. They were number one. They were getting that. What do you call it? That ESPN mainstream press. Not this fight.
Well, I tell you what, we'll discuss this all throughout the week, guys. We're can't wait till some of the projections actually come in from some of our buddies who seem to have that point of contact and know people with the numbers. So we'll wait for that to come in this week, possibly next. But, guys, let's move on to the first main event of the evening, which was Jermall Charlo defending his WBC's middleweight crown against the always dangerous Sergey Derevyanchenko. And, guys, the result was a UD12 unanimous decision with, oh, boy, Gogue, this one shocked the hell out of me. With scorecards that read 116-112, 118-110, and 117-111. Gogue, were they watching the same fight you were?
One of the many problems in boxing. One of the many problems we have in boxing, Joe. Bad judging. Life goes on. Just one show after, one boxing show after the other. The judges can't seem to get it right. So.
One of the scorecards, right? 8 rounds to 4, 116-112. That's fine. That's reasonable. I can see that if you gave the majority of the close rounds to Jermall, right? But 118-110, Gogue, that's 10 rounds to 2. How can you justify that?
That's crazy. There's no way it was 10 rounds to 2. Worst case scenario, 8 rounds 4 or 7 rounds 5, okay? Because there's times, Charlo abandoned his game plan and was a stationary target, especially when he was on the ropes, and let Derevyanchenko, steal the rounds away with, his relentless pressure and the volume combinations he was throwing, okay? And he did that 4 or 5 rounds with that type of, with that type of pressure and everything. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell they were watching, you know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, once again, guys, even though Andre Rozier basically guaranteed that his fighter was going to start faster, well, he sure didn't do it, and that had a lot to do with the left hand of Jermall Charlo. Talk about what Jermall did that was so effective in turning Sergey into a more tentative fighter in the first half of the scheduled 12-round fight.
Besides that hard sticking jab, he hurt him the second round. That got his attention real fast. That put fear into him, okay? Made him more hesitant instead of just coming in and rushing him, okay? That's what happens, Joe. When you're fighting a tough physical pressure fighter, like I said, I call them bullies. What do you do to discourage a bully? What do you do to intimidate him? You punch him right in the damn fucking mouth, okay? Get his attention. That you're not going to take you're not going to take no shit, okay? And that's what Charlo did right off the bat. Got his attention early. And you could see he was hesitant, in the earlier rounds and, coming in and everything. And that jab was beautiful. Charlo, like I said, he executed that jab beautifully. Nice, hard stick, a stiff jab. And, the hooks he threw off that jab, and the uppercuts he threw off, the left uppercut he threw off that jab. Like I said, not only the jab, but the punches, the other punches he threw off his lead hand. You know what I mean? That's why I said, but the jab set everything up, Joe. Bop, bop. Then all of a sudden the hook would come around, or bop, bop. Then the left uppercut would come, you know what I mean? Right through his gloves and everything. And controlled distance real good, Joe. Like I said, he controlled distance good, meaning he didn't let – Sergey got in there, but not – Sergey got in the pocket, but not a lot like he wanted to, okay? Because it's a turtle, He made sure. He let him know, the second round, right off the bat, I can hurt you, and he hit him. Oh, it hurt him real bad. Not real bad, but it stunned him and got his attention.
Indeed. So, what did you think of Harvey Doc's management of the fight?
He did a good job, Joe. I thought he did he wasn't Kenny fucking Bayless, okay? he let, because every time, I tell you what Kenny Bayless would have done. Every time Derevyanchenko would have got close and smothered Charlo even a little, he would have broke him up. This Doc let him fight out of those clinches, okay? And that's all you ask for, Joe, when you're a pressure fighter. When you get close, don't break me up. Give me an opportunity to get some momentum going, to get my combinations going, and that's what he did. So yeah, I thought he did a good job. He did his job in the highest professional manner. I thought. I didn't think he did anything amateurish, or he was favoring a certain fighter like AKA Kenny. You know what I mean? But yeah, I thought he did a good job. That's why the fight was good, Joe. To tell you the truth, if he would have kept on halting the action and breaking them up, it would have ruined a good fight, Joe. Okay, but he let him fight. Okay, he let him fight close up. He let him fight at long distance. There was no fouling or holding or there was no excess of intentional grabbing by Charlo. There was no rabbit punch. It was just a clean, hard fight, Joe. And Charlo, one of the keys not only was controlling range and distance with that hard jab and getting Derevyanchenko's attention right off the bat, was how he handled the pressure when he got in the pocket. He didn't fold. He fought back, Joe. Was he technically and proficiently sound? Should he have thrown more body shots? Yes. Should he have thrown more sharp, compact combinations, different variation? Yeah. But he did enough where he held his own and didn't take no shit off this guy and hurt him with them uppercuts, the left hooks on them, not the left uppercuts, the left hooks, but them right uppercuts were landing all day too, Joe. Oof. So he did his job, Joe, to not get bullied around, not to get flustered, not to get panicky or uncomfortable like his brother did when he fought Joseph Rosario and everything.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up. I thought Harvey Doc did an exceptional job of not being too officious. And usually in big events, be careful. Whenever you hear a referee use a slogan, right, or a saying, I'm fair but I'm firm. What I say you must obey. Let's get it on. Whenever you hear that, look out. Because then you hear a guy, then you see a guy or ref who actually wants to participate a little too much in, determining the fate of both fighters. So I thought Harvey Doc did an excellent job last night. He wants to be the star.
Yeah.
He secretly wishes he were there in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, I tell you what, so here's the other elephant in the room, Gogue. What's next for Charlo? Like I said, unless DAZN is willing to give him the kind of money that it's going to take to pair him up against guys like Triple G or Canelo Alvarez, do you see him realistically competing on the DAZN platform? I mean, technically he can do it. He's a free agent. He doesn't have any contractual obligation to any promotional group or any network.
Joe, it's up to Al. I don't think Al is the biggest, obstacle in boxing. He ain't gonna let that fight happen now. If it ain't with his platform, Fox or Showtime, on their, because he has a contract with them guys, Joe. He's got to provide the best quality fights, especially on pay-per-view, to them guys. And since his fighter made a big hit last night, I don't think he's just gonna want to let him walk across the street and fight Golovkin or Canelo. But guess what, Joe? In order to be like I said, in order to make a great pay-per-view fight where people are going to buy, you need a good dance partner. And right now, Golovkin and Canelo are the biggest dance partners at 160. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I see as well. I mean, because when you look at it, so let's say in a perfect world that they do come to a meeting of the minds, like, and work out some kind of arrangement, like Heyman and Arum, how they put together the big trilogy, right? With taking them from Showtime, but then moving them to the Fox in a collaborative effort with the ESPN, those two mega platforms in America, with Wilder versus Fury. Let's say in the future something like that does happen, and they come up with an amicable agreement in which both parties are independently responsible for their own fighter's purse. That's the only way I see this thing happening, is if Heyman and his party or network or Showtime guarantees Charlo's purse and DAZN guarantees Canelo's, just like the ESPN Fox arrangement with Wilder and Fury. That's the only way I see it working. So let's say that does happen, Gogue. How does Charlo, who does he match up better against, Gennady Golovkin or Canelo Alvarez? And if you were, well, Ronnie Shields, who would you prefer to strategize for?
Oh, golly, Charlo matches up with both of them real good, okay? He's a younger, fresher guy. I mean, he's not younger than Canelo, but Golovkin, he's a younger, fresher guy. He's got a very dominant jab, so does Golovkin. But Golovkin's older, he's got a lot of miles on his engine and everything, okay? Charlo's is faster, more explosive. Golovkin is pretty explosive too. He can hit you, but he doesn't. Charlo's speed could be the difference. Speed of his jab, speed of his combination, his footwork, his movement, and everything. You know what I mean? That to me, I would give him the edge, as long as he don't get caught by one of them big Golovkin punches. Okay, but Charlo's got good reflexes. He'll see. He'll see them big. Golovkin's kind of like slow down a little bit. He'll see those punches and slip them or block them and move around them. I think he'll have a real solid chance against Golovkin, okay? Real solid chance. Right now, because, his youth always prevails majority of the time. Canelo, well, that would be a different story. You're talking about both guys the same age, both guys in their prime. That would be, that would be a hell of a matchup, and to me, Canelo, boy, you know what I mean? He might be the shorter guy, but he knows how to close that damn distance. Okay, he knows how to neutralize he'll know how to neutralize that sharp, crisp jab by Charlo and everything. You know what I mean? Getting in close. Plus, Canelo inside, he's a very sound inside fighter. Short, compact combinations, beautiful head, body, head, and he's a creative combination puncher. Okay, that's something might give a problem to Charlo, at close range or medium range. But Canelo, like I said, counter punching. Oh yeah, he's gonna hit Charlo with some counter punches you've never seen before. Canelo will be the harder matchup because just there's multiple variations of skills that guy brings to the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Charlo, if he keeps the fight at range and distance like he did against this guy, you got to favor him and everything. Plus, Charlo can hit. He'll get what's his name's attention. He ain't gonna be, fucking Kovalov, man. You know what I mean? And play it safe and you know what I mean? Charlo's gonna let his hands go, get this guy's attention, let him know I can hurt you. You know what I mean? But Canelo, he's a very skilled defensive fighter. Rolls with the punches beautifully when he gets hit. Blocks his punches, slips fighters' punches, his opponent's punches. Counters his opponent so good. You know what I mean? Sets traps. I think Charlo would have to me, just thinking about it, Charlo would have a more difficult time with Canelo than he would with Golovkin. Golovkin, a lot of miles on that engine, Joe. Slow down. Just the youth, hand, speed, athleticism. Yeah, I would give it to Charlo. But we're just fantasizing right now. Come on, man. These guys have contractual obligations with the zone. They're not just going to let them, cross the street to fight with Al. You know what I mean? It's just ESPN's a different platform. ESPN's a different platform than the zone. Okay, so but that's right. The fight. That's the fight that demand pay-per-view. Okay, he wants a pay-per-view fight. Okay, you earned it. Made a big hit last night. Okay, it looked beautiful. He deserves to get a big pay-per-view fight now. The only fighters right now in the 160-pound division that can that can drive pay-per-view, and by that time, they'll have they'll let fans into the arenas. There's only two of them, Canelo and Golovkin, proven pay-per-view stars.
Well, all I have to say is this to all the PBC fans and the fans of Jermall Charlo. Be careful be careful how you cast aspersions, right? Because a lot of times it comes back to bite you in the rear end. Everything that these fans, right? Everything that these fans have been criticizing Terrence Crawford for, not fighting the best of 147 pounds, he's on the wrong side of the street, yada, yada, right? Well, it's about, Jermall Charlo is about to go through that same scenario.
Yep.
So judge slowly, boxing fans, because, once again, these men in the ring are fearless. As we just discovered last night, Jermall Charlo is fearless, and he fears, he wants to step in the ring and prove his manhood. And I tell you what, he earned a lot of respect.
He showed me he was a fighter last night, Joe. When that guy was bringing it on him, instead of panicking and losing his composure and poise, he kept his composure and poise and fought off those onslaughts that Derevyanchenko tried to bring to him. Okay, he showed me he's a fighter. Okay, and someone that's not gonna wimp out under pressure. Yeah, so he deserves those fights, but Joe, that's all fantasy right now. Boxing is so divided right now. I mean, that's the fights that need to be made. Okay, that's one of the many problems in boxing right now. It's this divided state we're in and everything, that the best fights can't be made, like Crawford and Spence. That fight should have been made last year or 2 years ago, okay? But, golly, these idiots, man, I don't know what the, I don't know what the, you know what I mean, Joe? It's just, that's why it turned a lot of fans off, you know what I mean? And they're showing second-rate fights that fans don't want to see. And this fight was a great fight card, but it should have been on Showtime Championship Boxing, not paid, not pay-per-view, yeah.
Well, guys, on our Saturday show with Lee Cleveland, or Friday night show, rather, we went over several of these factors that, have thrust these fights onto the pay-per-view platform, even though we used to get these fights on regular Showtime, regular HBO. This was a regular Saturday night, and this is one of the reasons why we looked forward to subscribing to HBO and Showtime. Now, if they're going to put all of their premium matchups on pay-per-view, there's really no point in subscribing to Showtime now, is there? Unless you really have that hunger to see Erickson Lubin versus Terrell Gaucher.
Why?
There's really no point, is there?
Counseling. If they do that, Joe, I'm counseling Showtime, man. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to pay, $15 a month, because I want to watch, the best fights on Showtime Championship Boxing. But if they're going to move them to pay-per-view, the hell with Showtime. I don't watch anything else on Showtime except boxing. And, like I said, I'm not going to, even bother, put my, wasting $15 a month, putting second-rate matchups like that Lubin. Oh, yeah, that was just a miserable fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, before we actually move forward, Gogue, I do want to take another look at the scorecards, right? Because these guys are usually very consistent and very good ringside scorers. Tim Cheatham, David Sutherland, and Steve Weisfeld, they all do solid jobs, and they work regularly throughout the entire boxing year. One thing, this is a theory that, I don't know, I'm going to run this by you, Gogue, see if it makes sense to you. I honestly think that they need to separate the judges from the commentary booth, right? Because that's the only way I can explain it, how wide the cards were. Obviously, Showtime, they will pull out the pom-poms and root for the company guy, right? And that seemed to be the case last night during the Derevyanchenko fight. They were pulling hard for Jermall Charlo. Do you think maybe the judges at ringside, because once again, there's no crowd, and I know they're focusing on the fight, but if the fighters say that they can hear the commentators and everything they say, how they're scoring the fight, whenever a good punch is landed, keys to victory, and they're influenced by the ringside commentary, you can't tell me that the ringside judges aren't as well. That's a flaw currently when there's no crowd. They have to do a much better job of separating the two, in my opinion, because otherwise I can't rationalize how this scorecard was 10 rounds to 2 and 9 rounds to 3, respectively, for Steve Weisfeld and David Sutherland. Can you? What do you think of that theory, though?
Yeah, let them. What do I think about it? Let them figure it out, man. I'm a trainer, man. I'm not a fucking boxing administrator. Let them fuckers figure this shit out. Just get it right. That's all I got to say.
Like you said, one of the many issues with the product, right?
Yeah.
So I tell you what,
let them figure it out.
We're running out of time, so let's go ahead and just mow through these the remaining bouts of the evening on this card. Daniel Roman, UD12 over Juan Carlos Payano. Your thoughts on him getting the unanimous decision and him having a tougher than expected time, being a 12-1 favorite. Yeah, this was very unexpected, seeing him struggle this way.
Well, he fought honestly, Joe, that was my first time ever seeing Payano fight. I didn't know he was a slick moving southpaw and crafty. Okay, and that's a tough style to fight, especially a guy like Roman. Roman prefers a guy that stands in front of you, so he can, that's where he does his best work. Okay, when you're a stationary target, and that's where he could, work his proficient skills. The uppercuts, the hooks to the body, the hooks to the head. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Angles he uses. But this guy didn't give him the opportunity to be a stationary punching bag that Roman wanted, moving in and out in circles. Even when Roman had him trapped on the ropes, he gave a little, he was moving his, gave a little bit of a head and upper body movement to make him miss and everything. Then Roman, couldn't take away this guy's escape routes, especially when he was on the ropes. The guy would just pivot around him, you know what I mean, and take it back to the center of the ring. It was a very tough fight to score, Joe, because this guy is so tricky. And when Roman would come at him, he fired back too. You know what I mean? He wouldn't just stand there. He would start throwing back. And then he would move and box and, feint him. He feinted him a lot. Just did everything. A good, slick southpaw, boxer that in the movement, just totally made Roman, not uncomfortable. Yeah, made him uncomfortable. He couldn't get him rhythm, okay? Because of everything he was doing, you know what I mean, Joe? Just a hard, tough style to fight. Roman adapted well, as best as he could, by, landing up, focusing on the body. He said, fuck the head. I'm just going to hit the body shots. I'm going to counter the body. I'm going to counter punch to the body. I'm going to lead, I'm going to lead with punches to the body. Because, that guy was just tricky and moving his head, just making him miss. And when a guy does that, boy, he just frustrates you, and breaks your rhythm. So what do? You just focus on the chest and the body, and that's what Roman did. And guess what, Joe? They counted the body shots like they should have. You know what I mean? They thought they were the most effective punches.
Yeah. Wow. Credit to the judges at ringside for getting this one right, seemingly. Although the Showtime commentary, boy, they didn't agree with that at all. So who knows? Maybe my theory is wrong. Maybe the judges aren't influenced. Otherwise, I can't make sense of the Charlo-Derevyanchenko scorecard. But, yeah, very entertaining fight, very competitive fight. Credit once again to Tom Brown for the great job matchmaking, considering the budget he had to work with. I thought he did a superb job matching up, entertaining style matchups and some maybe surprisingly competitive looks. Your thoughts then? So congratulations to Daniel Roman getting the UD12 over Juan Carlos Bayano, and then we go to Luis Neri getting the UD12 over Aaron Alameda. Were you a little surprised that Luis Neri struggled?
He wasn't on the juice, okay?
Oh,
he wasn't on the
gracious.
juice. That's why he struggled, okay? That fight was probably fight was probably the worst one they had on last night and everything. I didn't even watch much of it. I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So let's blow past this one then, brother, and then we'll mention
He didn't make a big statement. He didn't make a big statement like he should have. Okay, to warrant a bigger fight. Okay. Now, that Brandon Figueroa, he's been babied and coddled by Al. Oh, Jesus, just like his brother was. And, oh, Jesus. I mean, Brandon Figueroa, he's fought one good guy, Julio Ceja, and he took a draw in that fight. A lot of people thought he lost. A lot of people thought he won, but he still had a tough fight against Ceja, who got hit a lot, or he got hit a lot. Now, of course, Al made sure that he didn't want to put him in another tough fight like that, God forbid. So he put him in with this guy who, gave him a good fight for the first couple rounds. But he gave him a good fight for the first couple rounds. But I just by looking at this guy's record, I was like, oh God, this is not gonna be competitive, and which it wasn't. And this Figueroa needs to fight a guy like Roman or Stephen Fulton, Angelo Leo, any of them top guys, okay, to prove that he prove his worth as a fighter, that he is an elite level fighter. Now, if you look at Brandon, like I said, I know Brandon since he was a little kid fighting in the amateurs. He hasn't improved nothing his last 2-3 years as a fighter. He's still the same, does the same stuff over and over and over. He hasn't improved nothing. And last night, that first 2 rounds, I'm like, oh God, you know what I mean, Joe? And he hasn't improved. And I just can't see him beating the top-level guys like Leo or Fulton or Roman, okay? Those guys
like
are a lot more skilled.
Just like his brother Omar. For some reason, they hit this threshold and they never surpass it in terms of defense, combination punching, offensive.
Everything, Joe. Everything.
Yeah.
They don't add more to their arsenal, okay? They don't develop more skill sets, okay? And they're getting away with it just by, they're fighting. He gets away with it because he fights inferior opponents. I mean, just look at all the guys he's fought. You've seen them. I mean, they're garbage. And this kid, they're fucking garbage. And this kid ain't got no better. And everybody said how good he looked and Hell, look at the fucking guy he was fighting. Okay? I want to see him against it's about time they step him up. And, he needs to fight guys. They don't want to fight Fulton, but guys like Leo or Roman, guys like that, top-level guys, man. That's going to show me. That's going to tell me a lot more about him. But the way he looked, his last couple of fights, Joe, that's a different level when you start fighting them top-level guys. They're skilled, they're tough, they're conditioned, okay, and just doing what he brings to the table right now, Joe. It's not good enough to beat them guys.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Gogue. Good luck against Neri and Roman. But there's no coincidence, guys, why they featured Heyman featured 3 of his fighters at 122 pounds. There's no coincidence, guys. Exactly.
I want to see. I've seen Roman fight tough dudes. I've seen that Neri fight tough dudes. I never, this Figueroa, he just fought one tough guy, okay, and boy was he getting hit a lot, okay. Julio Ceja, okay, boy was he getting hit a lot. But anyway, like I said, I want to see this guy start, stepping it up with him, okay, and start fighting better level of competition than that shit he fought last night. Should never have been on pay-per-view. Well, crap like that should have never been on pay-per-view. And
you're absolutely right, Gogue.
He looked good when shit. He's supposed to look good when he fought a guy that's 2 levels below him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was a decent club fighter. Gogue.
That's all he was, that guy.
Punchy bag. Yep.
Yep, that's all he was.
Oh, boy, and yeah, he was getting beat up. And customarily, I'm all for giving the fighters the benefit of the doubt, not calling the fight too quickly, but that fight, to allow it to go into the 10th round and just to have that poor kid take that kind of bludgeoning. What did you think of them holding out and letting him go till the 10th round?
It's Joel Casamayor. I heard Joel Casamayor was a coach.
Yep,
I heard
Joel
Casamayor was a coach, and he's inexperienced. He don't know.
Yep. Great fighter, not so much as a coach. But then again, that happens that way sometimes.
Sometimes, a lot of times, just because you're a great fighter don't mean you're going to be a great coach. A huge difference. A great trainer is a teacher. He understands the developmental process. Okay, the levels to the game, the fundamentals, how to teach. Okay. A lot of great fighters don't know how to do that. They get away by superior talent. Okay, being a teacher, a trainer, and a great fighter is night and day. Okay, and just because you're a great trainer don't mean you're going to be. Just because you're a great fighter don't mean you're going to be a great trainer. Totally different, night and day.
Indeed. Well, I tell you what. Let's talk about the last fight. What did you think, Gogue, about the current WBO bantamweight title holder, Jermell Charlo?
Oof. Explosive. That guy.
Yeah.
He's just, just a naturally, what do you call it? A natural, instinctive fighter, okay? He does a lot of stuff that, you don't teach. You just get that guy in shape, good sparring, shoving him on the pads, conditioning, all that. And he'll know what to do. He's just a natural fighter, what I'm trying to say, Joe. He has natural fighting instincts. And, the guy, he throws them beautiful uppercuts he was throwing, on that guy. I like that. And he can hit that Casemiro. You know what I mean? Casemiro. First, he can hit. I've never seen that dude fight. The first time I seen him fight, I'm like, okay, I like that guy. I could tell he's a natural instinctive fighter, okay? Good punching power, good instincts, real calm and composed. Yeah. I like what I've seen from the Filipino guy and everything. And, they're talking about they want to fight Inoue. Okay.
Wow, I tell you what, that's a great matchup, brother. I'm whether or not he's ready for Inoue, that remains to be seen. But yeah, boy, I tell you what, his performance made that matchup that much more enticing, didn't it?
He made a hit, Joe. He went out there and knocked that guy out spectacularly. That he what do you call it? That he created a demand from the fans. That matchup, okay, Joe. So he's with Heyman though. Inoue's with Arum. Oh, jeez. There you go again, Joe. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? Well, no, he's going to be fighting in October. Well, if Inoue doesn't take too much damage in his next fight, you very well may see that cross-promotion bout take place on the undercard of Fury versus Wilder on December 19th. That's the only time I can see in situations like that. That's the only way I can see it being made. But I tell you what, Gogue, we're running out of time, and we still have, a couple of things to cover still if you have the time. But, guys, congratulations to Jermell Charlo, Daniel Rahman, Brandon Figueroa, and Luis Neri and Jermell Charlo. Those guys are your big winners from last night's event. Also, very quickly, congratulations to Breedis for winning the decision over Dorticos to win the Cruiserweight World Series tournament, and that's all we're going to talk about because we're running out of time, guys. We apologize. Congratulations also to Josh Taylor in destroying Kong Song of Thailand with a body shot. Gogue, and this brings me to our next topic. Bob Arum, after having to go through this, he and Frank Warren both, they weren't very happy putting off the Jose Ramirez fight for this, right? Because basically the only reason why they, didn't go right into the Jose Ramirez fight because both fighters had to take care of their mandatories, right? So this is what Bob Arum had to say about, well, the very overmatched Kung Song being knocked out in the first round by a body shot. It's an effing disgrace. A disgrace, I tell you. I'm not taking any grief. I will wage a public battle. I'm not going to allow a business that I've been in the boxing business for over 50 years, to be destroyed by these organizations that put these ridiculous mismatches and make them mandatories, wasting our time and our money. It wasn't spectacular. The poor guy, a minute later, he might have gotten killed. This guy should have never been in with a world-class fighter like Josh Taylor. End quote. Gogue, I can't disagree with anything that he's saying. Your thoughts on how bad this is becoming, and as a result, the sanctioning organizations are really losing credibility.
Joe, like I said last week, I've never seen a Thai fighter over 118 pounds that can fight. I never seen this guy fight before, but I knew, Joe. I knew this shit was going to happen, and that's what happened. It was a total waste of a TV date, and and a total waste of a title defense. It's just these sanctioning bodies. Oh, jeez. Oh, you know what I mean? Like I said, Joe, boxing is just filled with problems. You don't see that in UFC. That's why their product is so much cleaner. That's why it gets more widestream, mainstream press and acceptability by the fans. It's more acceptable by the masses. They like to watch it more. Boxing, just like I said, it's a fucked up sport. I mean, not a fucked up sport. It's a beautiful sport, but a fucked up business. And this is part of, this is just one of the many problems that boxing has, having that clown last night. I knew, Joe, it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Okay, they try to get fans excited and show some highlights of him, knocking out the mother bums he fought in Thailand. Joe, that's not going to fool me. Okay, I'm just going by, like I said, I've never seen a Thai fighter over 118 pounds that can fight. And I was, like I said, I was 100%. I was going to be right, and I was.
Well, yeah, and because I had received some messages asking me why we didn't go over the Josh Taylor Kung Song fight, and I said, well, why? I said, and this is what I always try to encourage our listeners to do, fans of boxing. Guys, if you're wondering whether or not a fight is going to be competitive, look at the race in sports books. This is one of the reasons why we always stress the odds on this show. Look at your races in sports books, and that the odds, the betting line, the handicap betting odds, that tells you everything you need to know about the fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no doubt in our minds that the most competitive and best fight of the evening last night was going to be Jermall Charlo versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. And boy, yeah, and Harvey Dock did a great job of staying out of the way, making his presence just as minimal as possible, and allowing these guys to settle their business in the ring like men. And it was a great fight. And that was pretty much an even money fight. Regardless of what the judges saw, yeah, that was a very evenly matched and closely competitive fight. And I loved every second of it. I thought it was a tremendous fight, and it told us a lot about, well, both men. Very quickly, going back to that, Gogue, what's next for Sergey Derevyanchenko? Because we forgot to discuss where he goes from here at age 34.
His manager, Keith Conley, mentioned something on Twitter that he wants to move him down to 154 if he can do it. If he can make that weight and be strong like he is at 160, that'd be the best thing for him. Win a title before he retires. But God, dog, Joe, on his comeback at 154, he deserves a softie. Okay, he deserves a Brandon Figueroa type of opponent. Okay. You know what I mean? Nah, look at all the tough Jacobs, Charlo, back to back.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, he deserves a softie like Brandon Figueroa been getting, since his career started. Okay, and let him get used to, let him get a good one fight, 2 fights, whatever, to get, used to fighting in that 154-pound division. Then you got a fighter. Then you could make a case to fight his brother, Jermell Charlo.
Indeed. Well, it's going to be interesting to see actually what his handlers decide to do with, see if he's the same and isn't depleted or is just as strong at 154 pounds. Best of luck. But yeah, let's go back to the solution for some of these mandatory. Gogue, I think what's wrong is that there has to be better or different measures that these sanctioning organizations take in determining these rankings. And to give you an indication, fans, as to how these rankings are made, Gogue, can you please share us, we're begging you, please share us that Don King story that you experienced several years ago.
Oh, Back then, Don was a man in boxing. He had the power because he had Tyson, he had Chavez, okay? And he was in tight with all the sanctioning bodies, BA, BC, and IBF. He didn't really fuck with the WBO a lot because they were just a new organization coming in. Didn't have a lot of credibility in the American market. In the English market, yeah, but not in the American market. Hell, man. Whoever he wanted, every fighter he signed, all he did was call Jose Suleiman, Bob Lee, or Mendoza, and he got his guys ranked. It was that easy,
Yeah, that's what, that's exactly what Emmanuel was telling me about his fighters. He said if he wanted any of his guys to be ranked with the WBO, all he'd have to do was call up and have a discussion with Paco. That's it. I
remember, well, you want to ask one story? I had a fighter, before Don signed him, it was in Sacramento. What happened was when Oliver McCall fought Lennox Lewis. Well, Don was in town, of course, and we met up with him, me and the fighter, and he goes, "Let's go out to eat." I said, "No problem." So he took us out to Morton Steakhouse. There was a bunch of us: Suleiman, Sterling McPherson. Who was my guy that got me those big fights with King and everything, and. We went out to Morton Steakhouse and everything, and Don was telling Suleiman, "Yeah, Jose, I'm going to sign this guy, boy, yeah, da-da-da-da." You know what I mean? This is the guy, boy, it's going to be my next star and all that and everything. Hell, man. He was rated number 30th in the world. He was rated number 30th by the WBC. After that meeting, I saw the rankings come out a month later. He was ranked number 7 after that. Okay? Yeah. And didn't fight nobody. Yeah, just that meeting with Suleiman and just that dinner we had. Don telling him, the next thing you know, man, you know what I mean? He got my guy ranked from 30th all the way to number 7 and didn't fight nobody. Then back I remember in the office one day and he was talking to Bob Lee, telling him, he's just signed, this guy. I don't want to mention the guy's name, okay, but he just signed this guy and this guy's a hurricane. You're gonna want to. You got to get him ranked. Well, he did. He never was ranked in the IBF, not even the top 30. You got him ranked number 7. Yeah. So that's how, rankings are just, it's political. It's who you know. Now, is it illegal? Oh, absolutely no. There's no rules and regulations. It's like the Wild West and everything, okay?
They make the rules.
It's politically connected, okay? That's the key. I've seen a lot of guys, man, that should be ranked in the top 10, but they're not because they're not politically connected. So, back then, King was a man, okay? He had the juice, him and Dan Jameson. They call any sanctioning body and get their fighters ranked in the top 10 if you sign with them. It's I'm just being honest. I've had 3 guys with King, and they all got ranked. When they as soon as they signed with Don, they got ranked.
And guys, that's the God's honest truth. And so I pose this question for you, Gogue: should promoters, networks, and fighters start ignoring the Big 4 primary sanctioning organizations and all of their bylaws and schedule matchups solely on the transnational boxing rankings as well as the Ring Magazine's pecking order and just pretty much hold that lineal world championship under the most I guess, under the highest regard?
Joe, TV networks dictate. TV networks are the real promoters. They dictate who the hell fights on their network, okay? All right, and they could put a squash to all this crap. All they got to do is say, no, we're not going to do it. You know what I mean? And the sanctioning bodies are going to get in line because they're going to, they're in it to make their 3%. They're going to get, they're going to say, okay, okay, whatever you want, we'll do what you say. You know what I mean? But the TV networks and they let them get away with this crap. Like that WBA and all this. 4 or 5 world champions in one division. Oh, that's sickening, man. Just sickening. And every single one of them guys think they're a world champion once they win their belt. You know what I mean? No disrespect to them, but you know what I mean? They're not world champions. There's only one world champion out there in each weight division, not 4 guys. And, but the TV networks and the promoters, they put on this shit and, and they try to sell it like a title fight. Give me a fucking break, man. It just destroys any credibility that boxing has when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Gogue, it's insulting to the fans. Like we don't know any better. It's insulting, Gogue, and it really waters down the product.
Yep.
But, yeah, in my opinion, and to be honest with you, I love the idea that these fighters, like what we saw last night, fighters are looking forward to unification. We've got another one coming up next year, and it's the big one. If Tyson Fury is successful in defending his title against Deontay Wilder, boy, he's going to be taking on Anthony Joshua. I love the idea that these fighters are looking to unify the weight divisions because that's what we need. Like, we need to recognize one champion. Or what do you think about this, Gogue? Mike Tyson mentioned this several years ago, right? He said, and kind of what happened with him and how he became a lineal and unified world champion, undisputed, right? They had a tournament with all 4 champions winning the titles, and then they had them face each other in the heavyweight division to determine the undisputed champion. And then after that, he said, you should have that tournament every couple of years in every division, and as soon as you win that, well, the winner is just escalated to the ring champion and relinquishes all the other titles, and you start all over. What do you think of that idea? That's something that Tyson mentioned.
What I would do if I was a TV executive and I had the juice, I'd get, I would, if you try to, if you're a promoter and you try to offer me a fight, for the WBA regular title, some bullshit, I would, oh, thank you. That's what you do. You gotta nip it at the bud, okay?
No, thanks.
Yeah.
That's
ridiculous, Joe.
The solution, Gogue. That's the solution. Quit entertaining, and quit taking these sanctioning organizations as seriously as they do currently. But I tell you what,
promoters too. Promoters
like
as well.
Boy,
they have their fighters fight for all that shit.
They're the ones who sell the bouts to the networks, Gogue.
Yeah, they should cut that shit out too. So it ain't the networks. The network people don't know what the hell's going on. It's them damn, it's a promoter. Herm don't do that shit. He did it with that Franco. Okay, that was a rare case, and Maloney when they fought. But he usually follows the guidelines of the old school. You know what I mean? None of this super champion, regular champion, and all that other shit. That's why he works with the WBO a majority of the time with his fighters, because they don't do that stuff. They don't have all those multiple champions in one division. The IBF either. Okay, them are probably the only 2 organizations in boxing that don't play that bullshit. That watered down theory they used in creating all those belts and everything. But Arum, you can see he don't do that with his fighters. But the other promoters like Heyman and Golden Boy, they do that crap, man. Joe, it's just sickening. I'm sick of it. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why boxing has lost a lot of its credibility, man. You know what I mean? There's too many. Even Dame Lillard, that basketball player, Damian Lillard, he even said, man, every time I watch boxing, everybody got on a belt. There's just too many champions out there. I'm about busted up. He said that on Twitter. He sees it. You know what I mean? And he's not a boxing guy, but he's a boxing fan.
Yep, And the final thing I'm going to say from Arum, and this is another quote, and this is why. And obviously, Arum has to try and keep the network happy. But you're not going to keep them happy by putting on a subpar product like that. So This is what he had to say after the fight as well. He said, quote, "Of course that didn't get Taylor ready for Ramirez. It was a waste of time, a waste of money. And I can say, woe is me, because who paid for this? I did. But, it really wasn't me. It was ESPN who was paying for it.
Yeah, they weren't happy.
We had to pay for it out of our budget with ESPN, and that's what pisses me off. What a waste. I remember other mandatory crap we've done over the years that was not good, but you guys have to write about it and embarrass these effing organizations." So he's basically leaving this to the forums and the writers to create that, ongoing story.
The awareness.
Right? Yep. That criticism.
Yeah, he's right. Arum's an old school promoter.
He is. Yep.
He's old school. He sees that shit. And you know what? He had to take money out of his budget, a big chunk, just to satisfy that stupid mandatory last night. It was a effing joke, man. A wasted TV date. And, I understand how Arum feels. Now the WBO is trying to, press that Jack Catterall. He has to fight Jack Catterall before he fights Ramirez, for the WBO belt. And I would tell the WBO, fuck you. You can have your belt back. You know what I mean?
That's my point. These fighters and these promoters need to start basically relinquishing these titles every single time they try to be too demanding and stand in the way of real progress and giving the fans, the real bosses of boxing, the fights they really want to see.
Yeah.
Because, Gogue, does any fan prefer to see Kubrat Pulev versus Anthony Joshua over AJ versus Fury?
Yeah, exactly. That's what the fans want to see. They don't want to see Kubrat Pulev. You know what I mean? Joe, fans want to see the best matchups, okay? Not second or third string, okay? And that's what the MMA the UFC, man, they got some very pretty damn competitive fights in there, okay? When they put them on, everybody's in there 50-50 fights. There ain't no 70-30 fights like Brandon Figueroa's fight last night. There were some good scraps I heard last night. Or it's like that all the time I hear. I don't watch that.
Indeed.
I don't watch that. It's just what.
Yeah, like I said, boxing would be wise to look at the product that Dana White has put together. Again, and it's not perfect, guys. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but everything that he does well and the UFC does well, how they've trained their clientele. Because one thing I've noticed, and one thing that Lee Cleveland and I discussed on our Friday show, but you never hear any UFC fans complaining about paying $75 for every event.
Because they're going to get their money's worth. You never hear them
complain about that money. That's right, because they get their money's worth. So once again, boxing would be wise to look at the tempo, the pace, and you never see an hour-and-a-half long intermission between fights during a UFC event.
Another thing, Joe.
Go ahead,
UFC is past boxing. I hate to say that. They passed boxing. Because
in America they sure have. Yep.
Yeah, all you got to do is look at ESPN and how much love they give to, how much publicity, how much press they give to, to their fights coming up all the time. And look, during that pay-per-view, that first pay-per-view they did during the pandemic, they did 1 million fucking buys. Unbelievable.
1.3 million.
Okay?
That's right.
So
think about this, Gogue. 1.3 million. Okay, so you had UFC fans paying at least $65 for that event. Okay, you had more paying UFC customers watch that event than people tuned in for free to watch the last fight card on Fox, flagship, free TV Fox. Yep. Well, I tell you what, Gogue, we're running out of time. We've already gone way over time, and I do need to get your quick opinion on these two. Okay. Very quickly, Gogue, why on earth is Pacquiao versus McGregor, and there's a very good possibility that they're going to fight? Right now, both sides, they do share the same management group, Paradigm Management, and they're in serious discussion and negotiating the terms of this fight. Both fighters have already agreed to it, so it looks like it's going to take place. But, Gogi, what I want to know is why have the race and sports books, why have the betting odds opened up with Manny at a minus 450 and Conor a very competitive plus 325? Because, Gogi, what they should read is like Brandon Figueroa and Damian Vasquez's odds, 50-1 and 15-1, respectively. So why are they so tight before the official announcement?
They want to make money. They want people to bet. Okay? Sports books are to make money, okay? That's why they probably put them odds up there just to get fans interested in putting the money on the fight and everything. Then of course, the money is going to start going on Pacquiao. Then the odds are going to get, of course, 10-1, 15-1, 20-1. You know what I mean? But you can't ask for a refund, okay?
So let me ask you something, Gogi. Let me ask you something. Do you see Manny Pacquiao carrying Conor McGregor like Floyd did?
I don't think so. Manny, nah. I think Manny, Manny's, he's older too, so, I think he's going to go hard. He's going to go for the knockout real fast. Plus, Freddie's training him. Freddie ain't going to let him carry Conor. Nah. They're going to go, once they get him hurt, they're going to finish him off and everything.
Yeah, you don't play. I mean, you don't play with fighters in this sport. You never know. Conor may actually go crazy and pull a Jeff Horn in the ring and just maul him or something. Give him a flying knee, man.
Nah.
so you don't play this stuff. But I agree. And like Adrian Broner, commonly says or frequently says, you don't get paid for overtime in this business.
Yeah. And Freddie too. Freddie. If they get this guy hurt, you're gonna tell Manny, go knock him out. Don't carry this guy. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Manny Pacquiao should give the fight fans a proper love letter, right? And give thanks and be grateful for everything that his fans have provided for him throughout his entire career, and vice versa. Wouldn't it be a fitting send-off if he gave Conor McGregor that Ricky Hatton-esque type knockout?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be, Gogi, the gift that kept on giving right there?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a great send-off to say goodbye. Yeah,
that would be such a beautiful send-off for Manny Pacquiao. And you know what? I would have that on loop as my screensaver on my personal computer. I think I would. If that happened, I would love that. I would have that just playing on a continuous loop as my screensaver.
Yeah.
Speaking of
send-off, that would be a great send-off. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? Manny deserves the victory lap fight. As many people who like to criticize this event, this is not Floyd Mayweather fighting Logan Paul, right? This is not Floyd Mayweather fighting Logan Paul. Conor McGregor's a real fighter. No, he's not a boxer, but he's a real fighter, and he's a real athlete. He's not a YouTube guy, right? So I have no problem with Manny actually taking on Conor McGregor and using this as a victory lap, right? So last thing, Gogi, before we leave, because we're out of time now, well, Chavez Jr. Oh, he was embarrassed once again, Gogi. Is this finally the end of Mijo? Will we ever see him embarrass the sport again?
Hopefully, Joe. Hopefully. His credibility after quitting the other night is pretty much, that was a nail in the coffin. Hopefully I don't have to see that embarrassment no more.
Yeah, that was just terrible, and I can't believe DAZN is spending money on that guy. What an embarrassment. Just stay away from boxing. He's become a cancer to the sport. But, Gogi, that's going to be about it. We've gone way over time, and we're almost at 90 minutes. How do you like that, man? Well, that's what happens when a lot of activity happens on the weekend, right? But Gogue, do you have any parting shots, final words for our listening audience this weekend?
No, just thank you, everybody all around the world, for tuning in. They got some great fights coming up in October. Lomachenko, Lopez coming up in, I think, in 3 weeks or so. That's the fight that got my attention. Okay, that's a fight that is going to be a unifying, fight where both champions. There's so many damn belts out there. I can't even remember which belts both fighters have, but it's a unification. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a very intriguing matchup. Can the young lion defeat the old lion? Okay, is there going to be a changing of the guard? And get this, Joe, it's not going to be on pay-per-view. It's going to be on ESPN, the flagship channel, okay? That's the way you grow the sport, Joe. You put the best matchups, not on pay-per-view, but you put them on free TV or, a big platform like ESPN where you ain't got to pay for it. And, see, Arum does it right. Heyman, them clowns over there at PBC do it all wrong. But that's why Arum has lasted this long in the business, okay? This is how you grow the sport. This fight got the fans excited. High. What do you call it? There's a high sentimental level. There's a high sentiment level. Okay, Joe. Meaning, the interest is high. Okay, the curiosity is high. They want to see that fight. They're going to tune in, and guess what, Joe? They're not going to have to pay for it. That's what makes boxing great. When you do stuff like. When you do it the way Arum's doing it, that's what makes boxing great. Now, if they could do it on a consistent basis, then we're talking, okay? PBC does it the total opposite way. They put their best fights on pay-per-view, and they put their shit fights on Fox, National, and Showtime, you know what I mean? They're totally opposite business plan of what Arum does. But anyway, if Arum gets it, ESPN gets it, and that fight, plus they got a great undercard fight too. Alex Salcido against Barbosa. Okay, and that's a crossroads fight for both fighters. Okay, Salcido, AKA Jaime Munguia too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tell you what, Gogue, and
fight.
As the weeks leading up to the big fight in 3 weeks. We'll be speaking more about the entire card as it materializes.
Yeah.
But we are now out of time. Gogue, thank you so much, brother. You can hear him every single week, guys. 3-decade fight trainer James Gogue every single week, every Sunday. Great job once again, Gogue. And congratulations, guys, to all of the winning combatants last night. And congratulations to the fight fans who actually tuned in. Boy, they were treated to some great live action. But, guys, on behalf of Mr. James Gogue, I'm Joseph Herron. You're listening to War Week Radio. Have a happy Sunday evening, everybody.